Hi YouTube. Hello, First Stage here. I'm back for another video. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying your gaming hobby in these very difficult times. This is a bit of a diversion, I suppose, for you. So pull yourself away from the news and let's just talk about Zweihänder for a short amount of time. So I'm running the Enemy Within at the moment, and I'm on Death on the Reich with my group. And we're really enjoying it. And I'm running Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition. And it's really, really good. And I know that Cubicle 7 are going to be bringing out Warhammer 5th edition, which will be kind of a backwards compatible assimilation of all the best bits of the Warhammer product game over the past few years that it's been out. And I'm really looking forward to that. I've got some money set aside for that. So I am running Warhammer at the moment, but I'm also interested in Zweihänder, which is kind of a forked out sort of version of Warhammer, I think back in 2nd edition, and it produced a game called Revised, Zweihänder Grim and Perilous RPG Revised. I'm not massively familiar with the history of Warhammer. I did play Warhammer back in the 80s, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. It was a little white box. I think it might have been a 1st edition of the game. And it was like an offshoot from their Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Really enjoyed it. And as a Brit, you've really got to get into Warhammer and play Enemy Within at least a bit. So I'm eventually getting there. 2020s, and I'm getting there eventually. I'm enjoying it. Zweihänder I came to even later, so I haven't had very much exposure to Zweihänder. I think I may have played one or other versions of Zweihänder on the Dungeon Musers YouTube channel, which has been good fun. I'm sure I've played some Zweihänder, and I've certainly played some Blackbirds, which is another awesome game based on Zweihänder. So look out for Blackbirds. I have a copy of Blackbirds, and I'm looking forward to their new version of the game as well. So there's a lot of rich game development and ideas flowing around the sort of Warhammer Zweihänder world. I'm going to put it that way. So I came quite late to the Zweihänder Reforged, and I thought it looked really, really good. So I was a late backer. I went on BackerKit and got it. I missed the Kickstarter completely, so I haven't been involved in the sort of crowdfunding of the game. And I'd like to play a game of it. Well, soon. I've got a group, actually, and I'm sat in my Foundry, as you can probably tell, my Foundry instance, ready to go, nearly ready to go. And my players are from the west coast of the United States, Holland and Germany, and me in the UK. So that's our group. So we're going to play online, and you can do it all kinds of ways, can't you? But I tend to run my online games now these days in Foundry. So what this video is going to be a quick look at the Reforged game, and what I've done to enable Zweihänder Reforged to be able to be played today in Foundry, if that's what you want to do. Now, I've left some links in the show notes below to the sort of drive-through RPG link to the PDF of Reforged and to the publisher, where you can also buy the game, and along with a range of other very nice things that I've discovered only today. I missed the fact that they put out a GM screen and some lovely cards. So after this video, I'll be going off to get those as well. A bit about the Reforged itself. It's backwards compatible. It's backwards compatible with Revised, which is good. It's gone off in its own direction very slightly, which I think is also good. I like a lot of the changes that they've made. If you're a player as Zweihänder, you can probably blend the two, quite honestly, if you wish. It's entirely up to you. The game is only available, the Reforged game is only available now, currently, in PDF. So I've linked you to the places that you can go and get it. And as I say, I missed the Kickstarter campaign. To say the least, there's been some delays in getting the physical book and some of the other Kickstarter rewards to actual fruition. So at the moment, it's been, I think, things like tariffs and trade shenanigans that have delayed things. So the book itself I don't think has been printed yet. And as at today, I did check the Kickstarter before I came on, and I am on the Discord for Zweihänder. No particular sign of it. There have been delays, and there have been further problems with some of the people involved in its production, I believe, which is a bit disappointing, to be honest. I believe, again, I may have this wrong, but as at today, I think the distribution of the book when it arrives will, I think, be through Texas, which means that any international buyer or backer will probably have a significant amount of extra cost associated with the sort of postage of that book. So that was, again, a bit disappointing. However, with all that being said, I am quite enthused by the game itself, and it is available in PDF, and you can play it today. And I wanted to play it to give it a go. So mostly this is about working out how to do it. Now, there are significant differences between the two games. Zweihänder Reforged has got a tighter skill list. It doesn't have the concept of, I think, of basic and advanced skills anymore. It's just got a tighter, shorter skill list. It's not that short, but it's shorter. So different skills, different talents, different traits, different. Some of the text and the professions are quite different. It may well have other changes or not between the two games, things like weapon qualities and maybe the spells themselves are a little bit different. So quite a big reworking of the game. There's very much a concept, and again, this might be in revised, but certainly in Zweihänder, there's a concept that you're a survivor. Not a hero, a survivor. You've survived a brush with death, and that brush with death has brought you together with other survivors, and there are some traits that you get as a consequence, that because it's affected you, it's left you with a scarring is a thing. And yeah, the sort of strengths and weaknesses that have come out of that scarring and that brush with death. And some of that won't appear in revised, as I understand it, but I'm not an expert, as I say, of the difference between the two, but it's nicely done. So that left me with a bit of a quandary. Well, I say that. What am I going to be doing? Well, I'm in Foundry, and you can probably see behind me some things. I'm going to say goodbye to the covers of these two marvelous games. I'll just put them out of the way for now, I think, rather than... Oh, no, I'll get rid of them. There is stuff available now for Zweihänder, I've found, in Foundry. And there is a module for the revised version of the game. But it is backwards compatible, so I went to have a look at it to see if I could play the Reforged game. It's gone now, I'm still pointing. Play the Reforged game using the revised Zweihänder module. Spoiler, you can. And I'll show you how I've done it, which is it's one of the requests that came from the Discord. So I'm going to just smallify myself. Hi. So I'm going to be running the campaign Eternal Night of Lockwood with my players. And what you can see in front of you here is Urtal, which is the frontier city in the heart of the Lockwood province, nestled away in a small mountain province of timber and mining and frontier farming. Some lovely maps. To make this work in Foundry, obviously you can just import the maps and they just sit there in the background. They look quite nice. That's quite a nice backdrop. What I've done is I have done some data input, and data input is going to feature quite highly in this video because there isn't a module for Reforged at the moment. Let me just click on something. So I've kind of produced, some assets, and it's some sort of journal assets for Urtal itself. So when you go around it'll tell you something about the estates or particular districts, which is quite nice. And similarly with Lockwood, let's just go across to Lockwood. So here's the province, Lockwood. It's like a sandbox, really. And again, I've just done a few little sort of data entries, 16 locations, pulled in some images from the book, from the campaign, and provided some information. So it's quite a rich kind of. I'll go back to Urtal for now. There it is. it's quite a rich setting, and I've done some data entry for my players, so they've got some stuff to play with and things to read if they get bored. Whatever. Anyway, as part of the Kickstarter campaign for Reforged, there were quite a number of things promised, including actually, so I went to look, a huge Zweihänder sword itself. Oh, that's amazing. I mean, some people have backed that, and I'm sort of glad I didn't see it, because I might have backed it as well, but I haven't. I've only bought the book. One of the other things that was promised was a Foundry module. So I did ask, obviously before doing all this stuff, I did sort of ask, when is that Foundry module coming? And I didn't really get a reply. So I took from that, not really, I didn't get really a proper serious reply. And I wasn't asking because I was pressing for it. You know, I wasn't thinking I deserve my Foundry module. There was no entitlement to that at all. It was simply the case that if it was going to arrive like next month, well, I'd just wait. You know, I'll wait for it to arrive and I'll use it. But because I heard nothing, and I would actually like to play the game, I went to have a look at the revised module. I did that some time ago, but I haven't had an opportunity to play it. But now I have come up to the opportunity to play it. And so I'm in earnest preparing a game. And what it turns out is that with some data entry, you can play a game of Reforged using the revised module. I'm going to just pull up a couple of things. Actually, what I'm trying to do, what I will do, is I'll just find the handle of the Discord name of the developer. If I can find it. Is it Rex? Might be Rex. So shout out to Rex on Discord for your fantastic revised module, because what that developer has done is it created a module which is flexible in the way that you can apply things like skills, talents, traits, professions, weapon qualities, and all that kind of stuff. You can create your own in Compendium, in Foundry, in the world modules. And all you have to do, as I will show you, is tell the Zweihänder module, don't use the one that comes with the module, use the ones that are in the world, and it will apply them all. And suddenly, that revised character sheet can now be used with Reforged, pretty much entirely. There are a couple of things that it won't do, which I'll also show you, but really teeny tiny. And I haven't sort of nudged Rex too hard to say, can you not put those in your... No, there's no reason why Rex should put those in their module, because their module is for revised, and I think they play revised. It's not supposed to be a reforged module, but because of the ingenuity in the way it's designed, it does enable you to do it. So I want to show you a little bit about how that works. So can you play a Reforged game in Foundry now? Yes, you can. Let's pull out a character sheet. Here's one I prepared earlier. Do you know, every time I do that, Arla covers me up. I don't know what she's doing. She's an arbiter. Perhaps she doesn't. I know. She's got a problem with me. I don't know. Whatever it is. Anyway, here's Arla. Here's Arla Drex, who is an example character. So this is what comes with the Zweihänder module in Foundry. And I hope you can see it. I'm trying to make it a high resolution video, so hopefully if you make it a high resolution, you should see the detail that sits behind this. I'm hoping so. I will play this back later and find out. I am recording. So, what have we got? Well, the first thing that I would say is that there are, as I say, lots of backward compatible elements with the revised element of the game. So if you look here, combat, brawn, agility, perception, intelligence, willpower, and fellowship are common attributes of the game. They're percentile based. I'm using the Reforged standard array of starting numbers to go in these, and you can place them where you like. So Arla is quite good at combat with a 50% starter, and you've got the bonuses that apply. These bonuses are applied in play in a variety of places. Now, the eagle-eyed Zweihänder aficionados, of which I'm not sure I would regard myself as one of those, but those of you who know the games will note that the skill list is a Reforged skill list. in this game. It's not a revised skill list. And I've been able to do that. And the developer has made it very easy for you to do it. And I'll show you how I've done it. So all those skills, you can make skill rolls. I will show you the skill rolls as well. There's one or two little gotchas there. What else have we got? Tiers. So possibly with both games, but certainly with Reforged, you have 3 tiers, i.e. your character goes through 3 professions in their adventuring survivor journey, if they get that far. And each profession will give you some bonuses. And so you take your tier 1 profession, you take a tier 2, you take a tier 3, basic, intermediate, and advanced. And you can stay in the same career 3 times, give them flashy names and perhaps slightly different professional traits, and you can just be very, very good at very particular things that profession gives you. So it's very, very flexible in the way that it's applied. And what I've done is I've created my own professions using the template and framework that's provided by the developer for the revised module, and added my own skills from my skill list, or the Reforged skill list, and applied them in. And the bonus advances, and so on. The talents, these are the general talents, and I've put all those in. And what's called a professional trait. In Reforged, they're all just called talents. But because of the way the data is structured for revised, I've made some things traits and some things talents. It doesn't really matter. They're just placeholders for cool stuff, really. So that's okay. And I've got things like a description. I put in the description of what an arbiter is for those people that want to do it. And once you have that in your own compendium, you can drag and drop it into a character sheet and it will receive it. And what you'll see here is this is very teeny tiny writing, but you'll see green writing and red writing. The green writing are things that have been clicked on and therefore the character has got. The red ones are things they've still got to get, and they can buy those with reward points, experience points, overplay. There will be some gotchas about numbers of reward points when they come in, but frankly that's not going to really matter to me very much at all. What is important is that I can drop a profession onto a character sheet with all the Reforged stuff on, and it accepts it, and it can apply it. So you can see, or you might not be able to see, as a starter with the first profession, and I just created a profession just to test it really. The Arbiter gets awareness, folklore, insight, melee, persuasion, and resolve skill ranks, each of which gives plus 10% to your skill in that area. So if they're all green, if you go back to our attributes, you'll see that under awareness, folklore, insight, melee, persuasion, and resolve, they've got a plus 10. So when you make your skill roll, you get the plus 10 in. And the base depends on the skill. So awareness is C. Is that right? Combat? Don't know. Strange one. I'll have to look. I might have to check that. Insight is perception, for example. So you get 45 plus 10, 55. Simple. I'm very quick to change if I've made a mistake, because all I do is I go into the skill list and say what skill it's based off, which attribute. It's done. Great. And you can switch them on and off. So, if I decide that they haven't got awareness yet, awareness turns red. If I go back to the attributes, awareness now doesn't have the thing. Simple. And I can make more professions and drag them on and go into the intermediate tier and then the advanced tier. Simple. So I'm going to come into the how. This is what it is. I am going to go back and give Arla back their awareness ability. There you go. It's back. Is it really? I would have thought awareness was perception. I may have made a mistake there. I don't know. We'll see. Good. So we've got a character. And we have some of the very basic things that they can do. I'm creating my own spells and other bits and pieces. So how do you do it? Okay. I do it. Arla, you can stay there. You can stay there. I'm going to put this, I'm going to go to settings. So you have to tell the Zweihänder module that you've changed the settings. Tell you what I'll do actually. I'm going to go to compendium first because that's where you put your stuff. So under compendium, with Zweihänder, you get a range. The module provides you with a very rich amount of information to get going. Bestiary, information on characters, including traits and ancestries and all this good stuff, disorders, drawbacks, and professions. They are all revised-based professions, which might be very similar actually to Reforged. But what I've done is I've said, okay, I'm going to make sure I get it right, and I'm going to create my own. And so I go to Reforged, so let's get rid of that. So I've created my own little compendium list. I'm going to go to characters. Let's take a look at skills. So what I've done, I've data entry, my own skill list in a compendium in the world. And each one, in fact, let's go to awareness. I think I've done it wrong. Awareness, the primary attribute is combat. I should have checked this before. I've just made myself worried that I've got it wrong. It might well be combat. If it's not perception, it's combat. There you go. So look, that's it. Description tells you what awareness does. And that's it. That's it. And if I wanted to create a new one, I wanted to create a new skill, I can create a new skill. I could call it whatever I like. And this little box will come up. I give it a name. And I stick it on here. It will appear on the character sheet. Simple. Simple to do. Simple to add. You can add as many as you like. I've done the full list from Reforged. That's what I want to play. But having done that, that's no good unless you tell the Foundry module that you're using your skill list and not the one that comes with the module. Because as you'd expect, that's revised based. I've done some other bits. So professions, for example, I've done a few, right? I've done a few. Look there. There's about 100 or more in Reforged. I haven't put 100 professions in. I haven't done that, though I thought on that to come, if I remember. But I've created enough to give a feel that I can have multiple professions on a sheet and it works, and it does, which is fine. And my plan is to do enough to get us started with character generation, which might be tomorrow actually. So we've got like a session 0. I might even stream it if you're interested. We might stream the whole campaign. Might be good fun. If I could do that, I will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them choose all the things that they want, whatever profession they feel like, whatever ancestry they want, whatever traits they want, anything. And we'll just note them down, right? And then when they've gone away after session 0, I'll build the professions and the talents and the bits and the what's-its that actually they want, and then I can apply them into the system. It was either that or write all of them down, enter them all. And, I am retired. But, I'm a busy man. I've got Pilates classes to go to and grandchildren to go and see. Can't spend my time doing all this all the time, honestly. Ridiculous stuff. Right. So, there we go. I'm looking at my mic to see if I'm still on. I think I'm still on. Right. You created all your, or at least some of your compendium. Great. Let's now go and tell Foundry and the Zweihänder module what you've done. Okay. So configure settings, and then you go to Zweihänder, the module. And this is where you tell it. Just put it out of the way for a second. Hello, I'm still here. This is where you tell it that you've done those changes. And there's lots of configuration on here to reforgify a standard revised module. So the initiative formula, for example, it's 2d10 plus and then I've got the attribute that's wanted. So it will calculate initiative if it comes to combat, which probably will happen in the grim and perilous world of Zweihänder. So I've got that set up. So I've put in my own formula for that, which is fine, easy to do. And then there are default skills. And these default skills, as written in the configuration here, will be revised. Default skills. So it's very important that once you have got the new skills set up, you tell the Zweihänder module to use your own. So for example, the default parry skills. Now, parry is an optional rule in Reforged. It's one I'm going to use. And it costs you 1 action point. And it makes an opposed roll. But you've got to say what are the skills that are default parry skills. And I've put in the ones that apply for Reforged. Similarly with default dodge skills, default magic skills, occultism, and these are all different to revised. Default resist disease skill is toughness. The Zweihänder sheet theme, so you can have the dark theme or the light theme. I think the dark theme, for me anyway, looks a lot better. I find the light theme a bit sort of like, whoa, and it does my retina in, so I can't do that. So I use the dark, as you can tell from what you can see. Here's the key one, skill list. So it will come with Zweihänder.skills. And all you do is you call it world.skills, because that's what it's called. World.professions, world.talents, world.traits, and so it goes. Because they will link back to the compendium you have in this world. And it works. It works. It picks up all the reforged details. I haven't done everything. I can't do everything. So there's a drawback list. I've got no idea if that should apply in Reforged anyway. I've done the talents, done the weapon. I'm doing my own weapons, just in case they're a bit different. And similarly with qualities and armor, I've changed all those. The grimoire, I'm going to use my own grimoire. I may have made a rod for my own back here, but I'm doing it for some of the key ones. The creature trait list, I haven't changed yet, but I might. Ancestry list, I haven't done. Ancestral trait list, I have changed. Yeah, so you basically apply those changes into here, save the changes. They will all be applied into your data that sits behind the Reforged module. So similarly, if I go back to, let's pull out, I did a test creature. It's a Barghest. And again, because it's backwards compatible, the slightly smaller defined list for creatures works. It absolutely works. And I've put in a few traits which come from my list. The core details are common across the two games. And I've got my own attack profiles for biting and tentacles. Anyway, nasty piece of work. You don't want to face one of those. The skill list I don't think will be used very much for creatures. As far as I can tell, they largely use the attributes and their attack profiles and traits. I'll find out as I play. I haven't got it all nailed down, but it's easily good enough. So I'll close that. And things like peril tracker and damage trackers, because the developer quite likes the evolved nature of those trackers, they're totally compatible with Reforged. So that was handy. There might even be a configuration switch I haven't found. But anyway, it works. It's great. So I'll get rid of that. And similarly with NPCs. So let's find an NPC. I've done a few. Here's good old Anford Chesterport. So you can see the NPC sheet is a lot smaller. But again, it's got all the skills. And it's got some skill ratings in some of these, which is fine, which means they're better. A couple of talents I put in. A couple of weapons and some skills. And I don't know if there's anything else much about them. Is there a notes field? there's a description. So I can put in a description to help me with the character. And you've got a quick character. That works as well. So NPCs work. Your bestiary of nasties works. And your main characters and main NPCs, I guess, because your main NPCs could well be drawn very similarly to player characters if you want, will work fine. Yeah, so that all works. What doesn't work? Very little. I think I will find out more when we do our character generation, to be honest. But there's a few things we're going to have to probably record in like the character notes and biography section, because it doesn't quite have a place in the templates that are provided for the module. That's fine. That's fine. We can do that. If you do, let's just make a roll. I'm going to make an awareness roll. It's going to bug me this now. I'm going to make an awareness roll. After this video, everyone in the Discord's going to be saying, Graham, you should have known. Oh dear. Anyway, so this is the little dialogue you get when you want to make a roll. Let's go to the. I've been doing some tests on doing some test rolls just to see if the thing works. It does seem to work, which is nice. And damage for weapons and things like that. Let me just clear some of this. I should have cleared this before we got going. I haven't got very many. There we go. I'll just clear those off to a nice clean. So this is Olodex is going to be making apparently. I've clicked black powder, haven't I? Let's click awareness. An awareness test. So the options that you have when you make your skill roll, it's very simple. Is you've got a base chance modifier. So whether I use those or not, I don't really know. But I suppose you can, if there's some modifiers that you want to put in and make it fine-tuned, you can. There's then the difficulty rating of the roll. Now the difficulty rating, I don't know if you can see these, whether they're being sort of displayed or not. But the difficulty rating in Reforged has been simplified to standard +0, hard -20, easy +20. But the drop down you get here is the revised list, which has got everything from trivial +30, easy +20, routine +10. So you can see it's a bit more fine-grained. I'd probably just use that. Honestly, does it matter? Not that much, really. But I get the simplification. Flipping heck. You can flip to succeed and you can flip to fail, and that's still in the game. Flip to fail is where you flip the D10 for your tens and your units around if it will help you fail. You don't want that. It's not much fun. Flip to succeed is the opposite. You can flip them round to succeed at a roll if it helps you, which is quite nice. So that still works. And then you've got the sort of skill test mode. Now, this is where it's just a little bit different and doesn't quite carry over. The standard roll is a standard roll. Fine, they'll just work. You've got assisted, which is like a help die in Reforged, which means that you roll 2 dice for your 10s and you pick the best. Yeah? What Reforged has is a hindrance die, which is you roll 2 dice and for your 10s and you take the worst, and that doesn't exist in this game here. So you'd have to manually roll an extra D10 and see if it makes any difference. That's a workaround. It's not much of a workaround unless you've got a hindrance on every single roll, which you shouldn't have, really. All the standard rolls just work. And then you've got opposed. And opposed just kind of says who you opposed against, and it does an opposed roll. Now, again, that's changed between the 2 editions. In Reforged, opposed rolls don't work off success levels as they do in Warhammer and in Revised. In Reforged, it's been simplified, and it's a standard blackjack system. So with your opposed roll, you both roll, and the one that succeeds and scores the highest of the 2 rolls wins. Very simple to apply, which is, again, one of the nice things about Reforged. They've thought about the gameplay and they've simplified it in places where I think it probably is beneficial. So if you click opposed, it's going to go off and try and organize success levels for you, which you don't need. So it's not quite there. Yeah. Does it matter? I don't think so. I don't really think so. It's definitely good enough. Definitely good enough. So let's just make a standard roll. No flipping. Oh, go on. Let's flip to succeed. I'm generous, and I'm not going to provide an assisted die as well. Let's just roll that. Roll some dice. There are some dice. Hooray! 72 is probably a failure. No, isn't. Flip to succeed. Yeah, I'm still learning. That looked like a failure, but of course it was a failure. But because you flip to succeed, the 72 becomes a 27, and you succeed. Hurrah! Flip to succeed. You want a bit of that in your life, don't you? Flipping to succeed. There you go. Done. Works. Combat works reasonably well. You know, you go into the combat tracker. Your initiative is all rolled in there. Then off you go. You spend your 3 action points. The thing that isn't here, another thing that might be useful, and I don't really know how you do it. I think it's probably more complicated than it's worth, which is probably why it's not here. Is action point tracking. So in Zweihänder, in a bit sort of like Pathfinder 2nd edition-y, although it might well be in revised, could well be in revised, in which case it's been around for a while, is you get 3 action points on your turn, and you spend them. And you can spend them doing stuff. You can keep some back if you want to do reactions. And in my case, reactions will include parry, which is an optional rule, as I say in the game. Very good. No way to track them. So I mean, what Kevin Madison does in his games, which I think is a really cool idea, really simple, is get 3 beads literally physically in front of you. And as you spend your action points, you know, move the beads or do whatever you want to do. So it reminds you that you've got any left. How I would do that with a large number of NPCs, I've got no idea. I'd probably just have to sort of just make sure I know if any have been kept back in case they want to do reactions. Something like that. It's not, I don't think it's systematized, but maybe that doesn't matter, to be honest. I like, so positive things. I like Zweihänder Reforged. It looks good. I'll find out in actual play, and we'll talk about it some more. So well done for Sellsword Publishing for putting it out. I hope you get your difficulties sorted out with fulfilling the Kickstarter. I love the module here. The module here for Zweihänder is great, and thank you to the developer for making it flexible so that you can kind of do Reforged now with a few things. Whoa, sorry, dreadful. Put myself some of that. You can play the game now, and that was the major thing that I sort of kind of wanted to tell you, really, which was take a look at the game, see what you think, and give it a go. If I can get my act together, I will potentially just stream a few games of Reforged in Foundry, so you can get a view of the game, maybe an actual play. I'm very new to it, so bear that in mind. But I think it's a terrific looking game, and so I will be running both Warhammer 4th Edition and Zweihänder at the same time, sort of roughly. Surely I won't get confused. Sure. Maybe I will. But anyway, I hope this video has been of interest. I hope you're well in these difficult times. And if you want to sort of have a bit of an escape, maybe a grim and perilous world of a fictional type might be something that might be worth you exploring, and maybe exploring using Zweihänder Reforged. Okay. Thanks very much for watching. More videos soon, possibly some live stream. You take care, enjoy your gaming, and I'll catch up with you soon. Cheers.